let's just dive into the information today and figure out what the heck is going on with Bitcoin, because it has been a wild, wild week. So Bitcoin currently at $48,727. It touched 50,000, actually a little bit above it just yesterday. It's now, I want to say dumped, but I wouldn't really call this a dump. The fact that we're at 48,700, I think last week when I was talking, we were around 42, 43,000. So last market watch. So we've covered a lot of ground since then. We were below this trend line that I have up on the screen. For those listening on the podcast, I am sharing screen as per usual. There's a trend line that we have been either above or below for the last couple months, and we have been butting up against it since the ETF launched. Basically, well, we finally broke through it and we absolutely smashed through it all the way up to a little over 50,000. So it's been a really good couple days for Bitcoin and the price action. Now, what's interesting is since it got up to 50K, what that actually means is this market cap is almost at $1 trillion. I think yesterday the max we hit was about 985 billion-ish. And with that market cap, it puts Bitcoin at the 10th largest asset in the world. So by market cap. So gold continues to be the leader here at 13.6 trillion. You have Microsoft at 3.124 trillion, Apple at 2.9 trillion, and the list goes on. Bitcoin now sits at number 10 at very close to $1 trillion. We've come back a little bit. We're probably around 950 billion, maybe a little lower than that at the moment. But that's where we sit currently, which is really, really big news. And the wild thing from all that is we're now the 10th largest asset in the world. If I name the 10 largest assets, you've heard of all of them in the media daily. I mean, gold, sure, Microsoft, Apple, Google, Amazon, NVIDIA, Meta, and silver, and Saudi Aramco, which is oil that comes from Saudi Arabia. So obviously all very, very popular things that you hear in the media all the time. Yes, Bitcoin is sometimes popular. However, right now, not so popular. If you look at the search terms for Bitcoin, you can see, and in crypto in general, you can see that they have barely even spiked at all with this run up. And what that means is retail is not here, right? When crypto starts to really go nuts and get into its sort of parabolic phase that we all remember from 2021, these charts go absolutely nuts. You can see it right here, the red and the blue here. Red is Bitcoin on the chart here. Bitcoin is blue. In 2021, which is basically once it passed all-time highs, late 2020 and early 2021, everyone was talking about crypto. Everyone was talking about Bitcoin. It was all over the media. Your Uber drivers, your parents, your friends, they were all talking about it. And right now, we are about 72% of the way from all-time highs. Bitcoin is $1 trillion asset close to. Crypto market cap in general is close to 2 trillion, and yet no one talks about it. My family's not asking me questions. My friends aren't asking questions. Uber drivers aren't saying a word. And you can see from the Google Trends, this is people searching. If they're searching for Bitcoin, searching for crypto, this would be people that when markets go crazy and they want to buy it, or they're like, what is this thing? They want to search and they want to either find exchanges, they want to understand more about it. And no one's doing that right now. And so this is very, very bullish because it means that we're building a strong foundation of buyers and holders for Bitcoin and crypto in general, I would say. And we still have a ways to go before retail comes in. It's probably after the all-time highs. So 69,000 is what it was for Bitcoin. Once we pass that, that's when you'll start to see this in the media again. These search terms will go up like crazy. I'm actually doing a report. I think it's going to be next week in our pro newsletter where I'm covering all of the indicators that let you know when retail are coming back into the cycle. And this is usually later in the cycle, probably when you want to take some chips off, start to take some profits. And so I'm going to write a whole pro report on what indicators you can look for. But either way, the good news is we're not there yet. And I think we're nowhere near it just yet. So still plenty of room for this cycle to grow and appreciate. So this is really big news. Now, why is this happening? Well, I've had a really bullish signal in terms of flows over the last couple days, on the Bitcoin ETF. So last episode on the Market Watch, I talked about the Grayscale Bitcoin ETF and how its outflows were decreasing. I said this is a good sign, except the fact that so were the inflows, right? So the inflows were decreasing, so were the outflows. So what does this really mean? Well, interestingly, the Grayscale Bitcoin ETF outflows they're not done, but they've really gone down to small numbers. But if you look at the total inflows now, since really about Thursday, so February 8th, it has just skyrocketed. We hit about $400 million of inflows in the ETFs on Thursday. On Friday, we were over 500 million. And then again on Monday, so starting off this week, we hit just close to 500 million. So these are massive inflows. And in fact, they are so big that right now, in just the last 3 days, the 10 Bitcoin ETFs doubled its total inflows to over $3 billion. That's massive. Now, if we take out Grayscale and the outflows that they've had, we'd be at about 10 billion. So the numbers are quite massive at the moment in terms of flows, and they seem to be picking up, which is quite interesting. Those who said it was a sell the news event doesn't appear to be completely happening. Just a short-term one because of those Grayscale Bitcoin ETF outflows. But other than that, people seem to be interested in buying these ETFs. And in fact, the BlackRock and Fidelity ETFs are two of the best performing ETFs in history. GLD was one of the best ones ever. And these numbers are absolutely smashing it out of the park. And it's still early days. And we are crushing what gold ETFs did and any other ETF. I think of the top 5, there's now like 3 or 4 of the top 5 ETFs in terms of like their first, I think 30 or whatever it was, days of launch. 3 or 4 of them are Bitcoin ETFs. So these inflows are doing really, really well. Now, the price action, is it related to the inflows exactly of these ETFs, or is it people speculating on the fact that these inflows are increasing? Whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. Either way, that's a positive sort of flywheel that we want to see, because the more inflows, the more people start speculating on those inflows, and ultimately just the more people are buying Bitcoin. And so we're in a really good phase right now. We hope that that continues because it's just very bullish for Bitcoin. Although we will talk about what is holding Bitcoin back right now in just a second.